Hello everyone, my name is Sadie and I chose counting numbers specifically for kindergarten. So right here I wrote my topic and my lesson and why I chose it. So I chose counting numbers and identifying numbers because it serves as the foundation for future math skills for kids. So in order obviously to subtract and add, we need to know what numbers are what numbers. So by mastering counting and number identification, kindergarten students build the essential base they need to progress confidently. And we want to make confident learners, so I made some fun activities. First, here is our Common Core standards. So I did KCC 4 and 5. So basically 4 is to understand the relationship, let me get a little closer. Understand the relationship between numbers and quantities, connect counting to cardinality. When counting objects, we say their name and pair each object with one name and each number with only one object. So then also 5 was to count to answer how many questions, as many as 20 things arranged in a line or any scattered configuration. And then the grade I chose was kindergarten. So children are in their first school setting. They have finally reached the age of learning in a formal setting of education. I chose kindergarten to show that kids learn in different ways than when I was in school. And there are fun and engaging ways to teach math without being boring or repetitive. So for my field work, I did kindergarten and I absolutely loved it. So I would love to be a special education kindergarten teacher. And so yeah, let's get into my activities. So activity 1, I did counting fruit. So students will use these printed tree sheets. So I'll have these at a station laminated in color with different numbers. Like I wrote 5 on this one, so I'd have 1 through 20. And what I want them to do is do the math fruit manipulatives to match the numbers in the tree. So I got these manipulatives, these counting chips, and they look like little apples and fruits. So I want them to put 5 in here. So I'd walk around and just observe this and just assess what numbers are they confusing, because I know that most kindergartners that I observed during my field work confused numbers 8 and 9, which I would think 6 and 9 would be the confusing ones, but 8 and 9 was really hard for them. So I would my assessment for this would just be to look and observe in that group and see okay, what numbers are we lacking as a class, or is there something that the kids are switching and confusing? So this is kind of more of an informal assessment, more of a fun activity. And then activity 2 is number hunt. So I would hide these number cards that I got. So it's just Dr. Seuss number cards up to 20 around the room. And students would go on a number hunt, and when they find one, they say the number and count that many jumps. So this also connects actually to my cross-curricular connection. So in my activity, we have a movement section. I feel like movement is so important to give kids that just brain break that they need. We don't have physical education at the school that I would like to teach at for kindergarten, so they're stuck in a classroom and sometimes their brains just need a little exercise and movement. And I'm actually taking a PE class, so I feel like this would be a good connection for my PE class to mention that I actually did this in this class. So yeah, I would use these number cards, hide them around, the kids would say the number, and then they would go and jump how many, count out loud, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if they pulled 5, and they would do 5 jumps. And that also practices their sequencing and counting forward. So then I have activity 3. This is count and match. Students will use this 1 to 20 worksheet that I printed out right here. So here they are. They're also number cards, so I would actually like them to take them home, this page, and they could cut them with their parents, and I'll let their parents know, and they could use these as flashcards if they needed it. But students will use this 1 to 20 worksheet and use the math manipulatives. So I have these counting blocks right here. And I think math manipulatives are so important because I see that a lot of kids don't really learn when we teach it verbally. So if we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and show them the numbers, they need to actually touch an object to truly understand the concept of how many there actually are. And that's actually on our standards, is to given a number from 1 to 20, count that many objects. So I would want them to use these to count that object. But yeah, so they would take this sheet, they would get these cubes, and they'd go, okay, 1, and then they'd get 1 cube and put it in the square. Okay, 2, get 2 cubes and put it in the square. 3, put 3 cubes and put it in the square, just so they understand like the point of counting forward and what number matches how many objects there are. And then lastly, I have activity 4, and it's my how many worksheet. This would be my formal assessment, my almost exit ticket, if you will. So students will identify how many objects there are and circle the number that matches. This will be used on an activity, as an activity and an exit ticket. So here is that. So it says circle the number. So they would count how many stars and then circle the number. They'd write their name, and I would use this as my formal assessment. So how many kids are actually understanding that I can count this many and it matches the number that just are below. I particularly like this worksheet because it gives different numbers, so I could understand like, okay, if they count 1, 2, 3 and they circle 2, like what is what's not making sense to them. So this would be my formal exit ticket and my formal assessment. So here I have an informal assessment. I just want to see like where they're missing. This one, activity 2, is more for fun, just to get them moving. That's my cross-curricular connection. Activity 3 is more practice, I feel like, not so much assessment. I would love to see like, okay, how are they doing counting forward? How are they doing using the blocks and making that connection that, okay, that's 1 block, that's 2 block. I would put 3 blocks here. So again, an informal assessment, I would just walk around, take some notes like, okay, which kids are lacking, which ones do I see that need a little bit more help, and how can I help them, and what activity or what could I change even about any of my activities to help them. And then obviously activity 4 is my formal assessment. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to my lesson, and I hope you enjoy it.